What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back, and we're going to start out with speaking on Jermall Charlo and his future as the WBC champion at 160. All right. Um, Jermall has not been in the ring for 2 years. All right. At least it'll be 2 years by the time he does finally return to the ring. We've been here in June. We've been here in July. We've been here in this summer. We're halfway through May, all right, and we don't have an official date scheduled and an official opponent yet, not just yet. We're hearing a lot of names. We know Carlos Adames is the interim WBC champion, so he's basically the active champion until Jermall comes out of his break. And we've heard from the WBC president that Mauricio Solomon, he's basically said like Jermall Charlo is out due to mental health issues. Now we know Jermall, according to reports, and everybody knows he's going through a lot of things, personal matters with his wife and divorcing, and I don't really know. I don't want to get into the details because I don't really know all of the facts outside of what I've read in reports and stuff like that, but and what he's posting on social media. But clearly Jermall is not all in his right mind, and I'm a big supporter of the Charlo twins. Both. I actually have to make a video with his brother as well today. Big supporter of the Charlo twins, and they've been a big supporter of my channel as well over the years. But Jermall is clearly not doing well. I mean, most of the time we see him in interviews in the last couple of years, he's been drunk, and he just doesn't seem like he's doing well. That's not the same confident Jermall that I remember, watching him fight and watching his interviews on the come up. It seemed like he's definitely in a different space right now mentally, and in his very last fight wasn't against Montiel, wasn't a good performance. It was a lot more competitive than what it should have been, being that we've seen Jermall at his best, and it didn't seem like Jermall was nearly at his best in that fight. 2 years later, he hasn't had a fight. He's gone through personal issues, and it's official that he is going through some things. We seen an interview recently where he cried in the interview he did with his brother. He's just not all the way there right now, but they've been talking about him coming back, and I'm like still unsure if he's ready to even come back right now and defend this title. Now, when it comes to him being a champion and being out of the ring for so long, it's been 2 years without him defending his title. Look, I understand the whole mental health thing. It seems like it's gonna be the cause of fighters not being in a ring a lot more often now. It is, whether you like it or not, it's going to be the cause of why fighters are not in the ring. It's not that it's new. It's always been there. It's just that once upon a time, mental health, it was never a thing that came up when it came to fighters or athletes or anything. It just wasn't a thing. When fighters was going through stuff outside of the ring, it showed in the ring, and we just chalk it off as being, well, they were going through some things, or they weren't in their prime at that time. They definitely fell off at this time. They would, we would see it in the ring, but it was never labeled mental health. Mental health. It's just a thing now where you hear mental health a lot now, and I'm not questioning what Maul is going through because it's clearly he's going through some things. But when it comes to him being champion, I don't believe that the entire division, or at least anyone that's ranked under that sanctioning body, they shouldn't have to suffer because you're going through what you're going through. At the end of the day, the sport got to move on. That doesn't mean that they should strip Jermall Charlo. It doesn't mean that. We do have an interim champion, in Carlos Adames. But what I am saying is that Carlos Adames and the interim champion thing, we need to hold it, and these are the circumstances of when we need to hold it as like at a higher level than just it's interim, but we need to hold that interim champion as the real champion, because if the real champion is not going to be active like Jermall isn't, we need to acknowledge that Carlos Adames is the true champ until Jermall comes back and fight the interim champion in his first fight back. And that's my opinion on all of this. Don't strip Jermall, but don't give him any tune-ups neither. You know, this is not like, oh, I got to get prepared to defend my title. No, when you are the champion, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with it. And this is why I hold champions that not only defend their titles, but to unify your titles as well, and to defend those titles as well. I hold them as such a high standard because it's a high responsibility that you have that no one else in the division has unless they're also unified. You know, I mean, there's so many champions, especially with the WBC and the WBA, right? There's so many other belts out there. And for you to not only win the title, but defend it or unify it or become undisputed and still defend it after that is very, very hard to do, because you have to basically fight whoever they put in front of you, whoever's ranked there. You know, and sometimes there are strings that are pulled. There are guys that move around and suddenly get title shots that don't deserve it. Rolly Romero at 140. I'll be speaking on him. But overall, you know, it takes a lot for a champion to defend the true champion to defend the titles. And if you go on 2 years with inactivity, right, and everybody else is still working while you're out, we need to hold that interim champion as the champion until the other one returns. And when the other one returns, he has to defend that title. Similar to the UFC. You know, there are injuries all the time in that organization, and fighters have to return year or two coming back off of injury with being inactive and going straight to the other top guy. It happens all the time. And this is why most of those fighters over there do not remain undefeated. This is why a bunch of them that are considered all-time great fighters have dozens of losses. You know, maybe not dozens, but, you know, their losses are in the amount of the double digits at least. You know what I mean? But they're still considered all-time greats over there. Top 10, top 20 fighters of all time over there. You know what I mean? Because they have to come back and face the best for the most part. And when it comes to boxing, it's all really about keeping your record as clean as possible. Keeping that O for as long as you can. And when you do lose the O, dress it up to make it look good. Turn it into a split decision or make the judges have it as close. You know, all the politics in boxing. But I don't want to get too much off track. Jermall Charlo, when he returns, he needs to fight Carlos Adames. And I'm also including Demetrius Andrade with that. I've been making content for the last 10 years about the Charlo twins and Demetrius Andrade since they all were at 154. I've been wanting this fight for many, many, many years now. And even I read that Jermall and Andrade had a conversation. Jermall wants to fight Andrade on his first one back and all that. Them speaking on the phone for an hour. You know, that sounds cool. That sounds great. But I don't care about you guys speaking on the phone. I don't care about Errol and Bud speaking on the phone as much as they speak on the phone. All I care about is results. Schedule the fight. Give us the fight. And that's all I care about. I don't care about how much you guys talk outside of the sport. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is keeping things fair. And if you're going to be out of the ring for 2 years, you need to defend your title against your mandatory and Carlos Adames, who is the interim title champion. I'm sorry. He is the champion. You need to defend your title against him. As much as I want to see the Andre fight, and I want to see that fight more, Andre have no rights to the WBC championship right now. All right? He lost that opportunity. They could have unified. If they both were champions, I would have said making a unification match. But Andre got screwed in that whole situation with the WBO again. It's not the first time. And I just don't, it shouldn't be held over the Carlos Adames fight. So Jermall Charlo, with inactivity, he should be returning, defending his title against Carlos Adames. And whatever they do from there, making the Andre fight the winner, that's great. But he should be fighting Carlos Adames. He shouldn't get stripped, but he should be going right into a Carlos Adames fight. It shouldn't be anything other than that fight. All right? If you're going to wait for 2 years and you're going to hold everybody else up in the division, you should be coming back and facing the guy that deserves it the most. All right? And this is by far the worst division in all of boxing. You know, that includes with Janibek, Jaime Magia, Eubank, and Liam Smith. All these guys at the division not fighting each other. No one's unifying. It's ridiculous the way this division is going. I'm kind of tired of it. I've been saying for the past few years, you know, I don't know what Triple G is doing. I don't know what any of these guys are doing. You know, let me just look it up because I don't remember who all the champs are right now at the division. It's just pathetic how the division is going right now. You know, yeah, what do we have here? We have Jermall. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have Golovkin is a champion. And he dug both of his mandatories, so he's probably not going to be the champion. I think Lara is something at some point. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. I can't keep track of this division. But this is the division where no one fights each other. No one unifies. It is the absolute worst division in all of boxing. And I just wanted to get it back on its feet because it's such a historical division. But it's actually the worst division in today's boxing. All right, so those are my thoughts on that. I hope Jermall gets well, and I hope when he does return, he's ready to return. But he should be fighting Carlos Adames and no one else, including Demetrius Andre at this point. All right, so those are my views on the fight with Jermall and his return. And, you know, if you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. All right, smash the like button if you like the content, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.